There are so many lies that are told about doing a PhD, and it's because very few people understand what's actually about. And honestly, I would not trust a lot of the marketing material that you see online from all of the different universities. And I also would not trust many of the people that are talking on various different social media platforms because they tend to be overly negative. They tend to be overly biased. So the people that are selling to you tend to be overly positive. The people that are telling you how awful it is are overly negative in what they are trying to explain. So this often results in a lot of information that is just not true that's present, or it's very extreme on either sides. If you were to talk to people that actually do it on a regular basis, they're going to tell you some things that I think will resonate in this video. And if you watch this video, people will say, yep, that's actually true. The first one that you're actually going to come across is that you don't know what you're actually doing when you're in it. There is this story that's told that you are supposed to be at the top of all of the knowledge and you're supposed to understand everything. In fact, you will feel more insecure and less knowledgeable as you get into it. And you will feel vastly inferior compared to when you actually started doing that discovery process. And it's dealing with this uncertainty and ambiguity that you're going to feel that's the most critical thing in the process. That's actually why I built the whole reciprocity platform, was because you're going to feel so much ambiguity and so much uncertainty as you go through it. And the idea is to reduce much of that ambiguity in the learning process as you're doing discovery. So go check that out. I encourage you to go onto the reciprocity platform. The E is written with a 3. Now, the other thing that you are going to experience along the way is a whole lot of social comparison. Remember, this process is ambiguous. It's uncertain. You don't know what you're doing. And along the way, you are going to say, and the lie that is often told is that you're going to know everything. But in fact, you don't. And so you're going to turn to other people and you're going to compare yourself to other people. And they are going to be more successful, less successful, all of that kind of stuff. You're trying to make sense of the world. It is an exaggerated process of what we go through in most of the world around us. First of all of our information is public, or only smatterings of what's going on is public. Our resume is up there. It's called our CV all of the time. And as well is that nobody knows what they're doing, so they're defaulting to try to look at other people to figure out what's actually going on. And you're going to find out another lie, this is the third one, is that people sort of say that the only thing scientists actually worry about, or researchers worry about, or PhDs worry about, is the knowledge itself, right? Like that fundamental idea, and they're going to help out everybody that's working on that particular idea. And you're going to realize that there is a huge group of people that, first of all, you're going to get two sides of the spectrum. You're going to get people that are very, very competitive and very cutthroat, and you can't necessarily trust them at any given moment. That's the negative side. And then on the positive side, you're going to find people that are extraordinarily helpful and want to help you out all of the time, but they often are extraordinarily busy because there's many things that are going on in their life. They have a lot of opportunities because there's very few people that are actually like that, and they tend to be pretty busy, and they have a lot of opportunities that are given to them because over time they have trust that is built up that they are not going to harm other people. So they tend to be overworked all of the time. Another big lie that you're going to hear is that they can't teach or they don't know what they're talking about. Actually, in my experience, It's the complete opposite. So I am at a business school. I've seen a lot of spectacular teachers, researchers that do the job. And what you'll find out that when you do research, you will realize how to actually translate some of these things often. And then I've also seen people from the real world, quote unquote, real world, and man, they just don't resonate. They don't get it. They are not part of the culture. And what you really need to think about is how do you often blend those particular things together so that you get that kind of real world stuff, but that sort of research stuff. And those are the ones that resonate and people find very, very interesting. There's also this story that they're extraordinarily nerdy. I'm going to tell you this right now. You're going to find some of the most stylish, coolest people you've ever met in PhD life. I'm serious about this. And then on the opposite side, you will find a lot of nerdy people. But the key thing that you will notice is how people deal with ambiguity and uncertainty in their life matters a lot. If there is a very strong emotional response to any of this, you really see it come out because the process is extraordinarily uncertain. You don't know what you're doing, and you can either get all sorts of behaviors that come out, and it's controlling, figuring out how to manage, finding outlets that matters more than anything throughout the process so that you can stay calm inside. It's that stress, that challenge that matters tremendously throughout the process. So I always say that you're going to learn more about yourself than you are about any given amount of knowledge when you do this. And when you get into it, you're going to realize that you are the problem most of the time. You realize that you have to deal with some of these things. You're going to have to deal with all sorts of things like ambiguity, loneliness. You're going to have to deal with people not being so nice to you a lot of times. You're going to have to deal with many different things that are going to bubble up. And you're going to have to process this and think about this. I think in the real world, there is a lot more opportunity to have togetherness, to have social events, depending on what you do. There is a lot more opportunity to do these things to manage some of that process. But as you can see, and you can probably see many of my videos if you go watch back on them, that's not the case often when you're doing the research process, when you're doing sort of PhD life. It tends to be very, very insular. It tends to be very ambiguous. And so it's managing that process, managing the feelings, the experiences that you go through that is critically important along the way. And so all of those lies that you hear about and all of the sort of, myths that you hear about and that you've seen, online or in movies often are just completely inaccurate in terms of what it is that we do and what it is that we experience. There's a lot more to it and there's a lot more nuance to it, but most of it has to do with dealing with that ambiguity, those emotions that you're going to feel when you go through ambiguity, when you don't know what you're doing. And people are telling you that you should perform at a certain level, but you don't know. In fact, there is no way to actually get there. There is no single way to actually get there. And so you are figuring it out by just bumbling through things. And, the market, not everything, but the market's kind of yelling at you and saying, do it faster, do it quicker. And you don't know what you are supposed to do. I don't know. And so you get frustrated, it's ambiguous, and you have to deal with all of that along the way. So hopefully you like this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Take care and have a wonderful day.